Right then, welcome back to the channel. Let's have a look then at the 5 things that we learned. In number 1, I think we have to start with Amad Diallo. Obviously, I looked last night and said I think he has to start, but I really think he's cemented that right wing spot for the foreseeable. Yes, he's been injured for a large portion of the season, but I think there's a greater point of play, and I know he's been injured, so you might find yourself in some sort of issues with it anyway, but when you think back to what a proper director of football would and should do, there's a couple of errors that have cost United hundreds of millions, actually. So you look at the performances Johnny Evans been putting in, and I might talk about Johnny in a bit. The performances Johnny Evans been putting in, you can't tell me that if we'd have kept him, we needed to sign Maguire. There's 80 million saved. You know, and at the moment, yeah, you'd be looking at probably moving him on or him retiring, but you wouldn't have spent that 80 million. And then if you didn't spend that 80 million on Maguire, you might have spent it elsewhere in the squad. I don't think you needed to sign Wan-Bissaka for 50 million when you had Ethan Laird. Now, I will accept Ethan Laird had a lot of injuries, but the point stands. He wasn't given an opportunity to take that place. And now he's playing in the Championship, doing pretty fucking well, actually, individually. The team hasn't done great. You know, you maybe speak to Wayne Rooney about that because they were on for promotion until Wayne Rooney came in. Now, when it comes to Amad, obviously we signed Amad. I think it was during Ollie's time we signed him, didn't we? He's had a couple of loans, and then when Ten Hag comes, we spend 70, 80 million on Anthony. A proper director of football is looking at the big picture, and we either didn't sign Amad in the first place, or you don't sign Anthony when you've got Amad. And I think that's what Ineos have to get into their heads, is that there has to be proper planning. You probably don't sign Anthony when you already had a Jadon Sancho that had only been here 12 months as well. You know, there has to be, or certainly you don't spend, you might say, look, we've got a £75 million right winger. If it doesn't work out with him, that's one thing, but we're not going to spend 30 on a second choice, third choice in Amad, or... You know, we don't spend another 70 on someone that's going to try and compete with his spot. No, it's just really, really, I can't even call it short-sighted because I think it's actually blind thinking. And then when you bring in the likes of Casemiro at 70 million, you know, we questioned at the time, that's a lot of money for a player you're not going to sell at the end of it. Now, we didn't anticipate what was going to happen in Saudi Arabia, so we might actually be able to sell him, which is a little bit of a silver lining, but the point stands. A little bit of foresight sees us in positions where we're actually, you know, we have a hierarchy of players in different positions, and we're not wasting money on the same position time and time again because someone's actually used their noggin for once and looked towards the future and tried to secure something. That being said, goal and assist for Amad. He seems to have the character and personality to go alongside his ability. I think if I'm Erik Ten Hag, if I'm Ineos, if I'm anybody, whoever it is, because it's like a squad of people involved in that now. I look at the likes of Diallo, the likes of Mainu, and I say, right, you've got some genuine, technical, talented footballers here that are going to be here for the long term, pure footballers, and you bet on them. You don't sign another person where he plays. You don't sign another person where Mainu plays unless he's an obvious backup. Like if you was going to bring in, for argument's sake, like Sabitzer to be a backup to someone like a Mainu, right? Fine. Does everybody know that that's the situation? Then that's fine. If you bring someone in that costs 80, 90 million to play in this position, now we've got a problem, haven't we? So it's, you know, Amad well done, but it had me thinking about, you know, some of the stupid decisions that have been made at this football club over the recent years. Can't keep doing them. Can't keep doing them. Right, we've got another one here for you then, and it's brought to you by the Spring Cleaning Aces Manscaped. This season, it's all about sorting out your carpets and the drapes of the big names in below-the-waist grooming. Say goodbye to winter fuzz with Manscaped's Lawnmower 5.0 and watch as your confidence blooms like those April showers, May flowers. Step into the season and join 10 million fellas worldwide who put their trust in Manscaped. Swim by manscaped.com. Enter the code 5things, that's the number 5 and things, for 20% off plus free shipping. After getting acquainted with Manscaped, I am all in that spring fever. Let's welcome the season's champion, the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. There are 2 interchangeable heads, one for a standard trim and the new foil blade for when you're in the mood for smooth. You've got LED lights. You can take it in the bath so you don't have to worry about the cleanup. It'll go in the shower. It's waterproof and go wherever you want with it. And it's also a nice compact case that it comes in. It is the go-to travel companion. And don't forget, spring cleaning isn't just about your balls. It's about the full grooming experience with Manscaped as well. You've got the Beard Hedger Pro Kit and the Handyman Electric Face Shaver. Now 20% off and get free shipping with the code 5things at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and nothing on the shipping with the code 5things at Manscaped. Nothing quite like a little bit of spring cleaning in your kecks. Go get it done. Number 2, actual tactical tweaks. 2 games on the bounce. We've been marginally better all round. We've seen players rotating. We've seen interchangeability within positions. There was no disjointed press. We saw sprinklings of, a decent looking mid-block at times, coincided with tactical tweaks and slightly becoming a bit more solid with probably, I think Amrabat's got a large hand in this because of how he plays the game. Wasn't perfect, obviously, but after a couple of games, considering what the standard had been leveled down to, I'm really happy with both of those. I've been saying for months, and it was getting boring saying it, I just want to see something I can hang my hat on, something I can cling to with a little bit of positivity. And the last 2 games, we have started to see it. So let's try and finish the season on a high with it now. Number 3, Bruno. It couldn't have been orchestrated better. People were getting fed up with Bruno, didn't understand it. Loads of people saying we're a better football team without Bruno. We're not. We're just not. He is one of the only success stories at the football club of the last decade. He's got an excellent skill set. He's got a profile of a player that isn't common. He loves Manchester United. And the fact that he is wanted by the likes of Bayern Munich, if that's true, because it did come from the gutter press. Who else in our team is getting linked with the likes of Bayern Munich? That should tell you everything about it, shouldn't it? Like, a lot of our players, look, realistically, has anyone even been linked with Anthony Martial? When players are leaving Manchester United, we are hopeful Saudi Arabia is going to take them. We don't even know where Jadon Sancho is going to go. We suspect Dortmund, but that might even be a loan thing because of the baggage that exists with him. The fact that Bruno was being linked to big clubs, it tells you everything you need to know, in my opinion, about what level of a player he is and why you have to keep older players like that. Amrabat credit. So obviously I did speak about this last night, and I think at times I've said, yeah, it was a disaster of a signing. That was because he wasn't playing. And when he had played at left back, and I think he'd had a couple of games in a 6 where he had a couple of games where he looked all right and a couple of games where he didn't look all right, and then he just was ignored for months. But it feels like he's really made us a lot more solid and physical. He's tenacious. He's a little bit erratic with it at times, but I think he really complements Mainu and allows him to push forward and him to look better. He provided a level of sort of just someone to bounce a ball off in midfield. He got on the ball. No one really... This Manchester United team, we look like we lack control so badly because we lack control so badly. He was getting on the ball and he was making things happen. I think he plays against Brighton and he has to play against Manchester City. If I see the starting lineup with Manchester City and he's in it, I'm creeping up. I've gone from 5 to 10. I might even go to 11%. And finally, what next for Ten Hag? Is he secure for next season? I think he is walking around the place like he knows. And there's a couple of people sort of mentioning it, and I agree. It seems like Rooney, Neville, Roy Keane, they sound like they might have heard on the grapevine that he's sticking around, because the way they're talking about him, and I'm sure they know more about what's going on than I do, and the way Ten Hag is talking, and I'm sure he knows more about what's going on than anybody else, I would hope it could come as a surprise and they just take him out and give him the bullet like all yellow, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I actually think what you've got is a manager that might have been on the sly told, listen, you've got next season to try and fix this, and then we'll talk about a new contract after that. We don't know what Ineos will do. I think the final is still important. I saw Jamie Jackson mention yesterday it does appear to be 50-50 on what's going on with him, but I think the last couple of games have been interesting. His Old Trafford speech was nicely commendable. Apparently it was the Newcastle fans that was booing. So we'll see. But it's a big summer for him and Ineos because we can't misstep with any signings in summer. Every single signing that he signs is going to have to take the team forward in a transformative way. And obviously we need to step away from the injury proneness that we've had this season and into some level of stability. You know, you can write this season off as, okay, yep, players shit the bed, blah, blah, blah. They need to go and get wrapped in cotton wool and take whatever gloop Cristiano Ronaldo takes and get themselves ready for next season, because we can't have another season like this. He won't survive, and I don't think half the fucking fan base will, the way this season's gone. But there you go. Nicely positive. Let's finish the season up this weekend. Look forward to the FA Cup final and see if you can get me to 12% optimism. See how that works, eh? Cheers for tuning in. See you in the next one. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.